Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a topic that really, it touches all of us sooner or later, either personally or through people we love. We're talking about those hidden dangers, the ones that can sneak up on us as we get into our 70s. We've looked at studies, articles, and some really quite moving real-life stories to shed light on this. And our goal today, our mission, is pretty straightforward. Give you the knowledge to navigate these subtle but significant changes. It's about protecting independence, health, and, well, quality of life. Let's kick things off with a story. It really crystallizes what we're talking about. Picture Margaret, 70 years old, vibrant, fiercely independent. She was a nurse her whole life, cared for everyone, raised 4 kids, prided herself on never needing help. And she had this simple routine, something she'd done forever, climbing onto a kitchen chair to grab something off a high shelf.
Yeah, something probably millions of people do or have done without a second thought.
Exactly. Decades of doing it. But then one morning, that simple act, that totally normal thing, it led to a hip fracture.
Devastating.
Absolutely. 3 months of really tough rehab. And the worst part, a complete loss of that independence she valued so much.
And the shock, as you said, is that it didn't have to happen. It was preventable.
Entirely. It wasn't some freak accident. It was like the end point of these subtle changes in her body that went unnoticed or maybe ignored.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? Those everyday things we do, they can turn into, well, dangerous minefields after a certain age.
Yeah, what's really striking about Margaret's story, and honestly so many others, is how often these critical changes just aren't talked about. We focus a lot on, the big diagnoses, heart disease, cancer. But it's these subtle shifts, these almost invisible changes in physical ability and cognitive function that silently chip away at an older person's autonomy.
And families often don't see the connection, do they? They might see forgetfulness or unsteadiness, but they don't link it back to, say, medications or vision changes.
Exactly. They dismiss the early signs. So this deep dive today, it isn't about the obvious risks, like, taking up hang gliding at 75.
Right.
It's about the mundane, the everyday actions people continue without recognizing that the risk has quietly, invisibly gone way up. We really want to equip you, the listener, with insights that can genuinely safeguard your independence, your health, frankly, your life.
That's right. Because the real challenge here, the core issue, is how insidious this gradual decline is. Margaret, for example.
Yeah.
She'd been ignoring subtle signals for months. Slight dizziness if she stood up too fast.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe feeling just a tiny bit off balance, turning her head.
Yeah. Or that tremor in her hand she barely noticed. She just, chalked it all up to getting older.
Classic explanation.
But they weren't just getting older signs. They were actual red flags. Serious warnings that things were fundamentally shifting inside her body.
And this is exactly why it's so hard for people and even their families to really recognize what's happening. Our bodies, our brains, they are absolute masters of compensation. They adapt.
They hide the problem.
They do. They mask the reality incredibly well, right up until a critical moment when that compensation fails. And suddenly, it's too late. A seemingly minor event, like stepping off a curb wrong, triggers a major crisis.
It makes you think, you might be experiencing these subtle shifts yourself right now.
Or maybe noticing them in someone you care about, a parent, a spouse, without quite realizing they're not just age, they're warnings. Red flags signaling a real change in capability.
I think a lot of us have that internal voice, right? The one that tells us we're basically the same as we were 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. And it leads to this crucial psychological thing. We hold on to this mental picture of our physical abilities long after the reality has changed.
It's like memory overrides reality.
Exactly. Our memory of who we were overrides who we are now. So seniors, like Margaret, who prided herself on self-sufficiency, keep operating based on past abilities.
Instead of taking an honest look at their current situation.
Right. And that disconnect, that gap between self-perception and actual ability, that's what sets the stage for these 10 habits we're going to unpack.
Each one is a concrete example of this quiet battle, the mind feeling young while the body is quietly evolving.
That's a really powerful way to put it. And it's not about intelligence, is it? Or willpower?
Not at all. It's physiology meeting psychology. And it demands that we proactively reevaluate how we do things day to day.
Okay, so let's dive into these 10 critical habits, starting with one that impacts, well, a huge number of older adults. Habit number 1, continuing to drive at night without really acknowledging how much your vision changes after 70.
Mm-hmm.
I bet a lot of listeners are thinking, my daytime vision is fine, I passed my eye test. But what's happening inside the eye at night is a different story. A slow, silent shift.
Yeah, the science here is pretty clear, and it affects everyone. After 60, maybe 65, your pupils just don't open as wide in low light. They don't dilate as well.
Okay, so less light gets in.
Significantly less. We're talking 30, maybe 40% less light reaching the retina compared to when you were, say, 30 or 40. But wait, there's more. The lens inside your eye also gradually yellows over time.
Yellows. What does that do?
It acts like a filter, basically. It filters out blue light, which makes it much harder to distinguish between similar colors, especially in twilight or dim light, or when there's glare from oncoming headlights.
Ah, okay, so it's not just seeing less light, it's seeing colors differently too.
Right. And on top of that, your visual processing speed slows down. Your brain takes longer to make sense of what your eyes are seeing, maybe 20 to 30% slower. Depth perception also gets unreliable, especially when contrast is low, like on a rainy night, so it's a whole cocktail of changes.
Wow, okay, so let's translate that to driving, that delay in processing. What does it mean?
Think about it, that red brake light up ahead. As a younger driver, you see it, you react instantly. But with aging eyes and slower processing, it might take an extra second, maybe 2, maybe even 3, for that information to fully register and for you to react.
3 seconds. Traveling at, say, 40 miles per hour. That's a lot of distance.
It's huge. It's about 176 feet, almost 2 football fields of delayed reaction time.
That's chilling. And it's not about not trying hard enough. It's a physiological change.
Exactly. It's the mechanics of your eyes and brain working differently.
Let's bring in Robert's story. 74, retired teacher from Ohio.
Okay.
He rear-ended a car, stopped at a traffic light, in twilight. He insisted he never saw it. Told everyone the road was clear, no brake lights.
But the car was definitely there.
Oh, yeah. Police report confirmed his daytime vision was perfect. But digging deeper, it turned out his night vision had been getting progressively worse for maybe a decade. Insidiously.
And he probably didn't even realize the extent of it.
Exactly. Like so many people, he'd unconsciously compensated, leaning forward over the wheels.
Squinting.
Yeah, maybe avoiding roads he didn't know well after dark. His family even noticed he gripped the wheel tighter on evening drives.
Mm-hmm. Classic signs.
But he brushed off their concerns. Said he was just being more careful.
Which raises that critical question, doesn't it? How many of us or our parents or grandparents are making these little adjustments without really facing the underlying risk? Robert thought being careful was enough. But careful driving doesn't fix the fact that your eyes physically aren't letting in enough light or processing fast enough for night conditions.
It's that internal assessment falling behind the physical reality again. So what's the practical takeaway? Stop driving altogether.
Not necessarily, but it's crucial to acknowledge the science, understand how your eyes change.
Right.
The insight isn't just stop driving. It's more like night driving after 70. Your eyes can deceive you. Adjust your habits.
So adjust habits how?
Well, it could mean avoiding night driving if possible, plan trips for daylight hours, stick to familiar, well-lit roads if you must drive at night, or maybe talk to your eye doctor about specific strategies or even special lens coatings. It's about making informed choices based on the reality of aging eyes.
Self-awareness and proactive adjustments, that seems key.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move to the second habit. This one is truly concerning because it's so often missed. It's continuing to take multiple medications without getting regular, comprehensive drug interaction reviews from a pharmacist.
Right. And you said earlier, this is quietly killing thousands.
Yeah.
And families mistake the symptoms for what? Aging.
Yeah.
Dementia.
Exactly. It's a huge blind spot.
Yes.
Because your body's chemistry, how it handles drugs, changes dramatically after 70.
How so?
Your liver and your kidneys, the main organs that process and clear drugs out of your system, they start working less efficiently, maybe only 60 or 70% of their peak capacity.
Okay, so they're slower.
Much slower, which means medications stick around in your body longer. They build up.
Accumulate.
Right. And when they accumulate, they start interacting with each other in ways they never did when you were younger, when your body cleared them faster.
Creating new side effects that weren't there before.
Precisely. And these effects can be subtle at first, maybe just mild confusion, a bit of fatigue, unsteadiness, but they can escalate silently. That gradual buildup is the real danger.
And the scary part is, each doctor might be prescribing appropriately for their specialty.
Exactly. But nobody's looking at the whole cocktail.
Right. Let's talk about Sarah, 72 years old.
Okay.
She was on 8 different medications, prescribed by 4 different specialists.
Wow, 8 meds. That's a lot.
Yeah. Blood pressure meds from the cardiologist, arthritis meds from the rheumatologist, antidepressants from her psychiatrist, plus sleeping pills and anxiety meds from her primary doctor.
So each doctor doing their part.
Perfectly. Treating their specific condition,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody was coordinating. Nobody looked at the combination of those 8 drugs in Sarah's 72-year-old body.
And what happened to Sarah?
Over about 6 months, her family saw this worrying decline, increasing confusion. She was unsteady on her feet, became uncharacteristically emotional, weepy.
And they thought,
Okay, this is normal aging, or maybe, oh no, early dementia. They never suspected the medications.
because why would you necessarily? These are supposed to help.
Exactly. But that combination was creating a toxic brew, slowly poisoning her cognitive function, each pill doing its job, but together, disaster.
So what was the outcome?
She eventually collapsed, rushed to the ER, took the specialists there 3 days to figure it out.
3 days.
Yeah. The diagnosis, polypharmacy, too many drugs interacting dangerously in an aging system. The ER doc actually said, we see this constantly, but families almost never make the connection.
That is truly shocking that something meant to heal can actually harm so profoundly just because of interactions.
It's a silent threat.
It really is. So the actionable takeaway here for listeners is critical. Medication overload demand regular pharmacist reviews.
Not just relying on the prescribing doctors.
No, you need someone looking at the whole picture. Your pharmacist is ideally positioned for that. Schedule a comprehensive review with them every 6 months. Take all your pills, prescriptions, over-the-counter, supplements, put them in a bag, and go talk to the pharmacist.
That's a simple step, but it sounds like it could be life-saving.
It absolutely can be.
Okay, habit number 3. This one is about balance. It's ignoring those early warning signs of changes in balance and spatial awareness, but still trying to navigate stairs, curbs, uneven ground like you always have. This is where that fraction of a second becomes so critical, isn't it?
It really is. Your body's balance system is incredibly complex, involving your inner ear, your vision, sensors in your muscles and joints, and it all deteriorates after 70.
How significantly?
We'll take the inner ear. It loses something like 40% of its crucial sensory cells between 40 and 75, and that loss speeds up after 70.
40%.
Yeah, and maybe even more critically, the nerve pathways, the wiring that carries balance information to your brain and signals corrections, they get slower.
So the messages take longer to get through.
Exactly. Think of it like your internal internet connections slowing down. When you trip slightly, your brain needs that extra fraction of a second to register the problem and tell your muscles how to compensate.
And that fraction of a second.
That tiny delay, which you wouldn't have even noticed at 50, is often the difference between catching yourself and having a serious fall.
You might see someone starting to hesitate just a bit before stepping down, or maybe reaching out to touch a wall more often.
Those are classic signs, subtle compensations for a system that's becoming less reliable.
And the danger is, again, that compensation. Your brain masks the decline so well. You feel fine, you feel stable, right up until the moment you're not.
Precisely. Let's talk about James, 76, former construction guy, tough, capable.
Okay.
For years, he'd been unconsciously adapting, walking a bit slower, gripping handrails maybe a little tighter, avoiding icy patches very carefully.
Thinking he was just being sensible.
Right. But really, his balance system was significantly impaired. He just didn't realize the extent.
So what happened?
One afternoon, the phone rang. He hurried to answer it, stepped onto his front porch, steps he'd used thousands, probably tens of thousands of times.
Okay.
But maybe there was a little dew on the bottom step. Maybe it was just slightly uneven. His aging balance system didn't process the subtle difference fast enough.
That fraction of a second again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His brain registered the slip just a fraction too late for his muscles to make the correction. Down he went. Broken wrist, concussion.
Oh, no.
And he was baffled. Told the paramedics, I've used these steps for 23 years. Never had a problem.
But it wasn't a random accident. It was the system finally failing under pressure.
And the research is stark here, isn't it? Risk of a serious fall doubles every 5 years after 70.
And that's right, doubles. Yet 90% of seniors make no conscious changes to how they move or their environment. They just keep going as if nothing's different.
Wow, 90%. It's staggering. So the insight here is balance changes are real. Adapt proactively before a fall.
So what does proactive adaptation look like?
It means consciously making changes. Look around your home. Are there loose rugs, poor lighting, especially on stairs, Fix those things now before they cause a fall.
Get rid of the tripping hazards.
Absolutely. And consider adding things like grab bars in the bathroom, railings on both sides of stairways.
What about exercises?
Definitely. Things like Tai Chi are fantastic for balance. Even simple exercises like standing on one leg while holding onto a sturdy counter can help retrain those balance pathways.
So it's about acknowledging the change and actively working to mitigate the risk. Don't wait for the fall.
Exactly. And for loved ones, pay attention to those subtle signs, the hesitation, the hand on the wall, the slight shuffle. Encourage these proactive steps.
Okay, habit number 4. This one hits close to home. For a lot of seniors who value their independence, continuing to lift, carry, move heavy things the same way you always have, without acknowledging that your muscles, your bones, your joints, they're just fundamentally different members. They're talking groceries, luggage, even furniture.
Yes, and the physical changes are significant. You lose, on average, about 15% of your muscle mass between 50 and 70. But after 70, that loss accelerates. It can be up to 2% per year.
2% a year. That adds up fast.
It really does. And crucially, you lose your fast-twitch muscle fibers faster than slow-twitch.
What do fast-twitch fibers do?
They're for quick reactions, sudden bursts of strength, exactly what you need to catch yourself if you stumble while carrying something or to manage a sudden shift in weight.
Ah, okay, so it's not just overall strength. It's that quick, reactive strength that diminishes.
Right. Plus, your bone density is lower. Your joints are less stable. Your spine might have tiny, unnoticed fractures. The discs between vertebrae lose moisture, become less flexible. Your core muscles weaken.
So the whole support structure is less resilient.
Fundamentally less resilient. So that box of books or that bag of potting soil that felt easy at 60 can genuinely cause a serious injury at 75. A muscle tear, a joint strain, even a fall because your balance gets thrown off.
It's that miscalculation again. Your brain remembers being strong, but the body is playing by new rules.
Precisely. Think about Dorothy. 73, retired librarian, very independent.
Okay.
Decided one Saturday to rearrange her living room. Why ask her kids for help? She had always managed on her own. Prided herself on it, probably.
Exactly. So she went to slide her heavy, solid wood coffee table. Something she definitely moved before.
Yeah.
Her back muscles, which had lost strength and flexibility she wasn't aware of, just couldn't handle the twisting rotational stress.
Ouch.
Yeah. Sharp, searing pain down her leg. Not just a pulled muscle, a herniated disc.
Oh, that's serious.
Required surgery. 6 months of physical therapy. And she told her therapist with tears in her eyes, "I don't get it. I used to move that table easily. I felt strong enough."
That's heartbreaking. It perfectly illustrates that disconnect. Her mental image of her strength hadn't caught up with the quiet decline in her physical capacity.
Her body's foundation has shifted, but her self-perception was stuck in the past.
It's a classic and dangerous pattern. So, the insight. Lifting after 70, respect your new limits, ask for help, or use aids.
The solution sounds simple, but maybe hard to accept for some.
It can be, but it's crucial. Ask for help with heavy or awkward items. Learn and use proper lifting techniques. Bend your knees, not your back. Keep the object close. Acknowledge honestly that you can't lift what you used to. Use dollies, carts, break down large loads into smaller ones.
It's not weakness, it's wisdom.
Exactly. It's about self-preservation to maintain long-term independence. Preventing that one bad lift is key. And for loved ones, watch for signs of struggle or maybe avoidance of tasks they used to do. Offer help proactively.
All right, number 5 might surprise people, because it involves something we're always told is good for us: exercise. Specifically, continuing your usual daily walks or exercise routines without adjusting for your body's reduced ability to handle temperature changes and regulate blood pressure during exertion.
Yeah, this is a subtle but really important one. After 70, your cardiovascular system just isn't as resilient as it used to be. Your heart's maximum pumping capacity declines steadily, maybe 10% per decade after 30.
10% per decade.
Yep. Your blood vessels become less elastic, less responsive, and maybe most critically for this habit, your body's internal thermostat, its ability to regulate temperature, becomes much less efficient.
So you overheat more easily or get cold faster.
Both. But overheating during exertion is a big risk. You're also more vulnerable to sudden drops in blood pressure after exercise, and dehydration happens much faster.
It sounds like a perfect storm. An activity that felt fine for years suddenly becomes risky.
It absolutely can. A moderately warm, humid day that wouldn't faze a younger person can push an older adult into a danger zone during exercise they perceive as normal.
Let's talk about Frank.
Yeah.
78, retired accountant.
Okay.
For 15 years, rain or shine, hot or cold, he did the same 3-mile morning walk. Prided himself on it. Thought it was his key to longevity.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Admirable, but potentially dangerous.
Exactly. He didn't realize his 78-year-old body couldn't handle temperature extremes like his 68-year-old body could.
Yeah.
So one July morning, it's humid, maybe 85 degrees by 9 a.m.
Pretty warm for a walk.
Yeah. He sets out, feels a bit warm, but pushes on. 40 minutes in, feels dizzy, nauseous.
Warning signs.
Big ones. But he ignored them. Thought maybe he didn't eat enough breakfast. Tried to push through, battling his own physiology without knowing it.
Oh, dear.
His neighbor found him collapsed 6 blocks from home. Heat stroke. Severe dehydration.
Wow. That could have been fatal.
Easily. The ER doc explained that heat stroke in seniors can sneak up on them, even in temperatures not considered extreme for younger folks. His body just couldn't cool itself down efficiently anymore.
So his normal routine on that particular day became life-threatening because his internal systems had changed.
Precisely. His mind remembered his old capabilities, leading to that false sense of security.
Okay, so the actionable insight is crucial. Exercise smart after 70. Listen closely to your body and the thermometer.
What does exercising smart look like?
It means adjusting. Check the weather. If it's hot and humid, maybe walk early morning or evening or walk indoors. Shorten the duration or intensity.
Hydration is key too, right?
Critically important. Drink water before you feel thirsty, during and after exercise. Thirst isn't a reliable indicator of hydration status as you age.
And listen to your body.
Absolutely. That's paramount. Don't push through dizziness, unusual shortness of breath, nausea, or excessive fatigue. Those are signals to stop, rest, cool down.
And for caregivers,
Look for signs like excessive flushing, confusion, stumbling, or struggling more than usual, especially in heat. Encourage breaks and hydration. It's about respecting the body's current reality.
Okay, habit number 6. This one seems so commonplace, but the stats are scary. It's continuing to use step stools, ladders, even chairs to reach high places, without realizing that your proprioception, your body's internal GPS, basically has deteriorated.
Proprioception. It sounds technical, but it's fundamental. It's that sense that tells your brain where your body parts are in space without you having to look, how balanced you are, how stable the surface underfoot is.
And this sense declines.
Significantly after 70, the sensors in your muscles, joints, inner ear, they become less accurate, and the signals they send to your brain are slower and maybe a bit garbled.
So your brain isn't getting good real-time data about your balance or position.
Exactly. Now, combine that fuzzy proprioception with slower reflexes and weaker muscles.
And climbing onto something unstable becomes incredibly risky.
Exponentially riskier than it was just a few years earlier. You literally can't trust your own feeling of stability anymore.
That's terrifying. You feel okay right up until you're falling.
Precisely. Linda's story illustrates this perfectly. 74, former school principal, always capable, handy around the house,
Okay.
climbed onto her kitchen counter to change a light bulb, something she'd probably done before. Why bother her son for such a small thing? Saw herself as self-sufficient.
Totally. But as she reached up, her aging proprioceptive system didn't give her accurate feedback about her center of gravity.
She thought she was stable.
She felt stable, but what felt like a controlled reach was actually a dangerous lean. Her slower reflexes couldn't catch it in time.
And she fell.
Fell off the counter, broken collarbone, severe concussion that impacted her memory for months.
Oh, terrible.
And she was bewildered, told the doctor, "I don't get it. I felt perfectly fine until I just wasn't."
Her internal sense betrayed her.
Exactly. The system she relied on gave her faulty data at the critical moment.
And you mentioned scary stats.
Yeah, research shows falls from heights over just 2 feet cause more serious injuries in seniors than any other type of accident.
2 feet. That's like the height of a standard chair seat.
Right, yet millions of seniors climb on chairs, step stools, sometimes even shaky ladders every single day, completely unaware that their internal balance system is no longer reliable.
Wow. Okay, the insight here is unavoidable. Reaching high after 70, the risk isn't worth it. Get help or use safe tools.
What's the solution then? Never reach for anything.
No, but prioritize safety above all else. First choice, ask for help. Someone younger, more stable. If you must do it yourself, use a sturdy, senior-appropriate tool. Not just any old step stool, but one with a wide base and a high handrail to hold on to.
Make sure the lighting is good so you can see properly.
Absolutely. And ensure your footing is stable. Wear supportive shoes, not slippers or socks. Never, ever climb on a regular chair. It's just asking for trouble.
Simple adjustments, but potentially life-saving.
Absolutely. Don't gamble your independence on a wobbly chair.
Okay, number 7. We're back to driving, but this time it's not just about night vision. It's about continuing to drive long distances or in challenging conditions without recognizing that your cognitive processing speed, your ability to make complex decisions quickly behind the wheel, has slowed down.
Yes, this is a crucial distinction. It's not about intelligence or how much driving experience you have. It's about measurable changes in how quickly your brain works.
Explain that processing speed change again.
After 60 or so, your brain's ability to juggle multiple streams of information, simultaneously visual input, spatial awareness, speed judgments, predicting other drivers' actions, planning your own response, it slows down. Roughly 20% per decade.
20% per decade. That's significant.
It is. Now, in everyday life, you often compensate without noticing, but driving is uniquely demanding.
Because everything happens so fast.
Exactly. It demands split-second processing and reaction under constantly changing conditions. On a busy highway, things happen in milliseconds. Your aging brain just needs a little bit more time to sort it all out and respond effectively.
And that tiny delay, that millisecond gap, can be the difference between avoiding a hazard and being involved in one. It sounds so subtle, which makes it almost more dangerous.
It can be incredibly subtle until it matters most. Think about George. 79, retired engineer, very experienced, meticulous driver, perfect record.
Okay.
Drove cross-country for years to see his grandkids. Couldn't understand why his kids were starting to get nervous about his long trips. He felt fine driving.
He felt fine, but his family noticed things, and he himself was probably unconsciously adapting, maybe driving slower, leaving bigger gaps, avoiding complex intersections.
Compensating again.
Right. On his last big trip, he hit a really complex construction zone. Multiple lane shifts, heavy truck traffic merging. Exactly the kind of situation that taxes cognitive processing.
High demand on the brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A large truck started merging into his lane, maybe a bit faster than he anticipated. George's brain needed an extra second, maybe just a fraction of a second longer than it used to process. Truck merging, assess speed, decide brake or accelerate.
And that delay.
That tiny delay put him squarely in the truck's blind spot, just as he was deciding. Near miss. Catastrophe avoided only because the truck driver saw him at the absolute last second and swerved.
Wow. Terrifying.
George was really shaken, told his wife, "I swear I never even saw that truck until it was right there."
But his brain had seen it.
His brain had likely registered it, yes. But the signal traveled through his neural pathways just slowly enough that his conscious awareness, his "oh crap" moment, and his motor response lagged behind the rapidly unfolding event.
That is a chilling illustration of cognitive slowing. So the actionable insight isn't just about vision, it's driving decisions after 70. Respect your brain's new processing speed.
And the practical solutions.
Limit long-distance driving, especially solo trips. Avoid challenging conditions whenever possible. Rush hour traffic, complex interchanges, bad weather, unfamiliar routes at night.
Maybe break up long trips more.
Definitely. More frequent breaks. Consider planning routes that minimize complex maneuvers. And honestly, regularly reassess your driving fitness. Maybe even get a professional driving evaluation designed for seniors.
It's about matching your driving habits to your current cognitive reality, not the reality of 10 or 20 years ago.
Precisely. Adjusting proactively to stay safe.
All right, habit number 8. This one shifts gears a bit away from immediate physical safety, but it's incredibly dangerous for overall well-being and independence. It's making important financial decisions, big purchases, investments, contracts, without involving a trusted advisor or family member for a second opinion.
Yes, this is critical. Financial exploitation of seniors is rampant. It's practically an epidemic, a silent crime wave targeting older adults.
Why are seniors targeted specifically?
Well, criminals know, or sense, that certain age-related cognitive changes can make older adults more vulnerable. Even completely normal aging affects the prefrontal cortex.
The part of the brain responsible for?
Executive functions. Things like complex planning, risk assessment, impulse control, judging credibility, anticipating long-term consequences.
Oh, it's not about losing intelligence.
Not at all. But your ability to critically evaluate a complex financial product, or to resist a very smooth, high-pressure salesperson, or to really think through the implications of signing a contract, that ability might be subtly weakened, even if you feel perfectly sharp.
You might not process the risk the same way.
Exactly. You might overestimate the potential benefits and underestimate the potential downsides or dangers without even realizing your judgment has shifted.
And what makes these scams so insidious is that The victim often seems completely rational.
Right.
They could explain why they made the decision.
Absolutely, which makes it incredibly hard for families to intervene sometimes. How do you protect someone who seems perfectly lucid and convinced they're doing the right thing?
Let's talk about Helen, 76, widow.
Mm.
Always handled the family finances, considered herself very savvy. A polite, professional-looking young man comes to her door. Represents a home improvement company supposedly working in the area. Uh-oh. Yeah. He shows her official-looking documents, maybe photos, claiming her roof needs urgent repairs to prevent leaks. Very persuasive.
High pressure, probably creating a sense of urgency.
Exactly. He answers all her questions, seems knowledgeable. Helen feels totally in control, evaluates the proposal, thinks it seems reasonable, and signs a contract. $12,000.
$12,000.
Yep. Her daughter visits a week later, happens to look at the contract, and her stomach just drops.
What was wrong?
Predatory terms hidden in the fine print. Exorbitant interest rates if financed. The work was likely unnecessary, the company probably shoddy, or maybe would just disappear the deposit. A classic sophisticated scam.
And Helen seemed
Completely normal. Her daughter told the police, "Mom explained it all logically. She seemed to understand everything. I don't get how she fell for it."
That's the scary part. Her executive function, her ability to truly assess the risk and smell a rat, had likely declined just enough to make her vulnerable to manipulation she would have spotted easily years earlier.
Heartbreaking. The scammer counts on that subtle shift. So the actionable insight is vital. Major money decisions, after 70, always get a trusted second opinion.
Absolutely. The solution is straightforward. Never make a significant financial decision buying a car, signing a home repair contract, changing investments, responding to unexpected financial requests alone.
Involve a trusted family member, a close friend whose judgment you respect, or a qualified, vetted financial advisor.
That second set of eyes provides a crucial layer of objective scrutiny. They might spot red flags or ask questions you didn't think of.
It's not about admitting incompetence. It's about acknowledging a universal, age-related vulnerability and putting safeguards in place.
It's a pragmatic safety measure in a world where these scams are increasingly sophisticated.
Okay, we're nearing the end. Habit number 9. This one can be emotionally tough because it touches on independence and maybe fear. It's continuing to live alone without any emergency backup systems or regular check-ins, especially if there are underlying health issues.
Yeah, the statistics here are really sobering. Every year, thousands of seniors have a medical emergency, a fall, a stroke, a heart attack while alone at home. And for many, the outcome is far worse than it needed to be simply because help didn't arrive quickly enough.
Time is just so much more critical as you age, isn't it?
Incredibly critical. After 70, your risk for these sudden events goes up significantly. But just as importantly, your body's ability to bounce back, to recover, goes down. A fall that might just cause bruises in a younger person could lead to complications like pneumonia or blood clots if an older person lies helpless for hours. A stroke needs treatment within a critical window to minimize brain damage.
So delays in getting help can turn a manageable event into a life-altering or even fatal one.
Exactly. Think about Carl, 81, retired mechanic, fiercely independent. Lived alone in the house he'd shared with his wife for over 40 years.
Okay.
His kids suggested maybe a medical alert button or just calling them once a day to check in. He refused, saw it as an insult to his capability. I can take care of myself.
Stubborn independence.
Very much so. One evening, fixing dinner, he has what turns out to be a minor stroke.
Oh, no.
Not enough to knock him out, but it affected his speech, his coordination. He couldn't use the phone to call 911 or his kids.
Trapped?
Effectively trapped. He spent 14 hours on his kitchen floor. Conscious, scared, unable to get help.
14 hours?
Yeah. His neighbor finally found him the next afternoon, noticed the newspaper still on the porch. By then, the lack of treatment had allowed the stroke damage to become much more severe.
Turned a minor stroke into a major one.
Exactly. Permanent damage to his speech, mobility, cognition. The ER doctor was blunt with the family. If we'd gotten to him in the first few hours, the outcome could have been drastically different. His insistence on total self-reliance in that critical moment cost him dearly.
It's a heartbreaking illustration. That desire for independence, when taken to an extreme, can paradoxically lead to losing it completely. So, the actionable insight. Living alone after 70, build your safety net connection equals independence.
That's right. The solution isn't necessarily to stop living alone, but to build in safeguards.
Like what?
Medical alert systems are crucial. A pendant, a watch, preferably one with automatic fall detection. It provides a lifeline if you can't reach a phone. Arrange regular check-ins, a daily call with family or a friend, a neighbor who knows your routine and will notice if something's amiss.
Maybe even consider smart home devices.
Yeah, those can play a role too. And looking ahead, proactively consider living arrangements that offer more built-in support before crisis forces the issue.
It's not giving up independence. It's strategically protecting it by having a plan for emergencies.
Precisely. It's building a safety net to allow you to live independently for longer and more safely.
Okay, finally, habit number 10. And this might be the most fundamental, the one underlying many of the others. It's continuing to make decisions about your health, safety, daily activities based on who you were at 60 or 65, not who you are now.
Ah, yes, the reminiscence bump playing out in real-time decision-making. It's this natural psychological tendency to anchor our self-image to our younger, more capable selves.
Right.
Your brain just naturally highlights memories from your peak years, maybe your 20s and 30s, but also more recently, like your active 60s. This creates a mental baseline of capability.
A baseline that gets increasingly out of sync with reality as you age.
Exactly. And here's the crucial part. It's often not conscious denial or stubbornness. It's a normal neurological process.
Yeah.
But it becomes dangerous when it stops you from making necessary adjustments.
You're operating on an old map. That's
A
right.
very old map, leading you into risky territory because the landscape has changed.
So it's this unconscious bias towards our past selves. Makes it really hard to combat.
Incredibly hard. Let's look at Marie. 83, former nurse. Highly competent, identified strongly with her professional skills.
Okay.
After retiring, she volunteered at the local hospital ER for 15 years. It was a huge part of her identity, her sense of purpose, keeping her skills sharp, feeling useful.
Exactly. But what she didn't consciously register was that over the last few years, her cognitive processing had slowed. She was making small errors.
Like what?
Misreading medication labels occasionally, forgetting steps in certain protocols, just reacting a bit slower during emergencies.
Even her colleagues.
They noticed. Out of respect, maybe affection, they quietly covered for her, corrected things behind the scenes, hoped she'd realize it herself, and step back gracefully.
Avoiding a difficult conversation.
Yeah. Until she made a medication error that thankfully was caught but could have seriously harmed a patient, an error she wouldn't have made 10 years earlier.
The system finally broke down.
Right. The hospital administration had to step in, gently remove her from the volunteer position. Marie was devastated, confused.
Couldn't understand it.
She told her daughter, "But I feel exactly the same. I feel just like I did 10 years ago. Why don't they think I can do it?"
Wow. That really captures the dilemma, doesn't it? How do you reconcile that internal feeling of sameness, that sense of identity, with the objective reality of subtle, cumulative changes?
It's the core challenge of aging successfully, maybe. Maintaining that accurate, current self-assessment while still valuing who you are. So the final actionable insight, aging well means updating your self-image. Honesty protects independence.
Exactly. The solution requires courage. Honestly assess your current abilities, not based on how you feel, but on objective evidence or feedback.
Seek that feedback.
Yes. Ask trusted sources, family, friends, your doctor, maybe even a formal geriatric assessment for honest input. And then prioritize safety over maintaining an outdated self-perception.
It might mean letting go of some activities or finding new ways to do things.
It might. It requires adapting, evolving, finding new ways to contribute, to feel valued, that align with who you are now, not who you were 10 years ago. It's about embracing the present reality.
Okay, so let's try and connect the dots here. What's the big picture?
The overarching message really is that these 10 habits aren't just random mistakes. They're symptoms of a bigger societal issue. We don't really prepare people for the practical realities of how our bodies and minds change after 70.
Right. All these stories. Margaret with a chair, Robert driving at night, Sarah with the meds, James on the steps, Dorothy lifting, Frank exercising, Linda on the counter, George driving long distance, Helen with a scammer, Carl alone after his stroke, Marie volunteering.
Every single one shares that common thread, making decisions based on an outdated self-assessment, an old mental map.
Leading to risks that were ultimately preventable. Feel like this quiet epidemic, fueled by good intentions, but a lack of realistic self-awareness.
That's a good way to put it. And the crucial point is recognizing these patterns and making adjustments. It's not about giving up. It's not defeat.
It's the opposite, isn't it? It's about taking control.
Exactly. It's taking proactive, informed control of your aging process to preserve your independence and safety. The people who age most successfully, who maintain their autonomy the longest, they aren't the ones pretending nothing has changed.
They're the ones who face reality.
They face it.
Yeah.
They honestly assess where they are now, make the necessary adjustments, build support systems, and operate within realistic limits. It's an act of profound self-care and wisdom.
That really is the empowering truth here. Taking these steps is taking control. It's actively protecting your health, your safety, your autonomy. So practically speaking, it means things like getting those regular medication reviews with a pharmacist.
Installing grab bars and better lighting before you think you need them.
Using a medical alert system for peace of mind, not seeing it as a sign of weakness.
Involving trusted people in big decisions.
And maybe the hardest part, constantly, honestly updating that internal self-assessment, checking your own assumptions about what you can still do safely, being proactive, not waiting for a crisis.
And remember, these aren't just random suggestions. They are evidence-based strategies. They work. They mitigate the risks that genuinely increase with age, allowing you to live a fuller, safer, more independent life for longer.
Absolutely. Look, your life experience, your wisdom, that desire for independence, those are incredibly valuable. They deserve to be protected. And that protection comes from informed, realistic decisions. Don't let an outdated picture of yourself rob you of the very independence you've worked so hard for. Take action. Assess where you are honestly today. Make the adjustments needed. Build those support systems. It will keep you safer and more autonomous for the years ahead.
Because truly, the difference between aging successfully and experiencing a tragic, preventable decline often comes down to just that, the courage to acknowledge change and adapt.
We really hope this deep dive is giving you, our listeners, some valuable things to think about for yourself or maybe for the older adults you love and care about. It's about fostering that proactive approach.